What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Two Game Podcast. I am Matt Primo, joined by Chris Norman.
What is up, everybody?
This is episode 131. And on this week's episode, we're here to recap and review Demon Slayer, the Swordsmith Village Arc, Season 3. I just finished it like a week and a half ago, I think, something like that. Finally finished it. Chris binge watched it here recently as well. So we are going to recap it by going through the entire season and then jumping into with our thoughts, opinions about the whole season. And then we're also going to talk about our top 10 most anticipated games for 2024. Now, little disclaimer for that. Okay. We don't have 2 10s. We have 2 5s that equal 10. And I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know right now, the slate for 2024 is the exact opposite for the slate of 2023. 2023 has turned out to be a great year for video games and music. 2024 for video games so far, it's not very good. It's not very good.
It's gonna be a good year to catch up from 2023.
Exactly.
Glass half full, man.
I've never been the positive type.
Clean out the backlogs.
I struggled to find 5 games that I was like, that was different than yours. I was like, I don't know about these. Like, I'm not super interested in these, but whatever. We'll talk about it. So we're going to skip the playlist this week because the Demon Slayer portion of this episode is probably going to take up a big chunk of it. But one thing that I do want to make note of as we kind of close out the rest of this year, one, I got to start watching a bunch of movies from 2023 to get ready for the top 10. The last big release for 2024 in terms of music just happened this past week. So now I can start really hammering out my top 10 for music. And there's about, 15 albums that are in contention for top 10, which is pretty good, I think. So going to be handling a lot of 2023 releases over the next couple of months. As we do this kind of like mini deep dive into season 3 for Demon Slayer, I do want to just tease the tip a little bit. Okay. Just the tip. Lord of the Rings trilogy deep dive coming. Shout out. So as we kind of do this episode, starting probably next month, maybe the beginning of January. I'm not entirely sure about the timing of it. We're going to record an episode every other week. That's going to be released. And then, or actually, let me rephrase that. I got that backwards. Just rewind a little bit. Next month, BioShock Trilogy Deep Dive Series. January is Lord of the Rings Trilogy Deep Dive Series. So 6 episodes talking about 2 great things. And following that, we got The Hobbit, we got Rings of Power, we got all kinds of deep dives coming in the near future. So y'all be prepared for that. And then I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but Persona 5 Royal, sir? Possibly.
Hopefully. Very hopefully.
Let's see here. Let's go ahead and jump into it, man. Demon Slayer Swordsmith Village Arc. Okay, I just recently finished it, and it was one of those things where I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes as it was coming out, and then for whatever reason, I just didn't really keep up with it until this past week where Nick on our Discord, one of our Patreon supporters at the $30 tier, he had mentioned that he had finished it, and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot that I didn't even complete that season. And Demon Slayer is like probably my favorite overall anime at this point, and I decided to go back and binge watch it, and I'm not disappointed. But you have not read the manga, correct?
I have not. No, I have not.
I, for one, am that guy where I get to compare the manga to the anime for once. For once in my life, I get to compare the book to a movie or a TV show.
This is what Christian feels like at all times.
Yes. But I am not going to be really overall. I'm not going to be really comparing the two. It's more of the which one do I prefer over the other as we kind of get into this deep dive. So I do want to just let everybody know that I'm not going to be like, oh, this happened in the manga, or this happened in the manga, or oh man, oh girl, wasn't as naked as she was in the manga, or something like that. Like I'm not going to be like talking like that kind of shit. So we're going to recap from episode 1 all the way to the finale. And then we'll kind of give our thoughts and opinions as we kind of move through the story. And that's kind of how we do all of our deep dives. So if you're interested and you kind of like how we do it this way, go check out our Xenoblade Chronicles 2 deep dive and our deep dive into Final Fantasy X. And then shortly, you can join our deep dive for BioShock. So, sir, are we in agreement that you're going to read all this?
Oh yeah, I got you, bro. I got it.
Okay. I'm going to pass the buck to Chris right here because he will probably pronounce all these names better than I will. I'm going to give it the old Mississippi shot and mispronounce just about everything.
I feel sure with Demon Slayer I won't get them all right, but I did marathon the show yesterday, so they're all at least a little fresh. I will give it the good old college try.
Sweet. So whenever you're ready, sir, this is gonna be weird hearing be on the opposite end of this.
Shout out.
I will allow it.
Thank you. All right, so Demon Slayer Season 3. The premiere kicks off revealing the aftermath of the Entertainment District shattering battle, with Tanjiro slowly recovering back at Hashira headquarters. On the villain side of things, Muzan Kibutsuji sends 2 of his upper-ranked demons, Gyoko and Hantingu, on a new quest. Zenitsu and Inosuke are sent on separate missions while Tanjiro and Nezuko head to Swordsmith Village to get their sword repaired. While there, he meets both the Love and Mist Hashiras. The Mist Hashira is seen training with a mechanical training doll, and Tanjiro, with the help of swordsmith child Katestu, yep, might have got that one wrong, levels up his abilities with a new scent detection power. He uses it to shatter the mechanical doll, which reveals a centuries-old sword inside. Unfortunately for the duo, they don't get much time to dig into its origins, as upper-ranked demons Hantingu and Gyoku invade the village. It's revealed that
right there for a second. That's going to kind of they're teasing for those who haven't read the manga. I'm not going to spoil anything, but that little portion teases towards the end of the series. They're already kind of laying the groundwork for kind of the lore and the world that's being built towards the end of the show or the series. So that's actually kind of important information to. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. It might seem like filler if you haven't read the manga or anything like that, but it's actually kind of important as you move through the series.
Well, yeah, and also if you're, I'm assuming if you're interested in this recap and review at all, it's because you've watched prior seasons of Demon Slayer. It is very, very Demon Slayer-esque to introduce the characters and tell you very little about them. So I do like how they just, like, you meet Tokuto, the Mist Hashira, and Miss Kanjuro, the Love Hashira, but it kind of gives you first impressions in the intro episodes, and kind of it kind of sets the tone of how you think you're going to feel about them. And in true Demon Slayer fashion, as we go further, no super spoilers, but you kind of get what you expect. You either change your mind or you don't. Demon Slayer is very good about that, but we'll get there, I guess. Pretty solid first 2 or 3 episodes, in my opinion. It picks up right where the prior season left off, just like I started out, and then it just throws you balls deep into something new very quickly. So
I want to compare the first couple episodes of season 3 with season 2, the Entertainment District arc. I think because that's going to be kind of the thing. I mean, everybody's going to compare seasons 1, 2, and 3. I still think season 1 is by far the best. I think it has the best plot, the best character development. It's more serious in tone, which I prefer over the more anime-like silliness that they kind of went with the last 2 seasons. But the first couple of episodes of this season, I think, are slightly better than the first couple episodes of Entertainment District. and I'm not talking like the Mugen Train arc. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Entertainment District episodes. I think these episodes are just a little bit more interesting, whereas those kind of just feel like, okay, like we need to get through this to get to the good shit, man. Like this is kind of boring, to be honest with you. So I do prefer these first few episodes over season 2.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, yeah, and anytime you want me to stop, just stop me because I don't know what your breaking points are. So just tell me to shut up.
I'm fucking winging it, man.
All right. Then it's revealed that Huntingu especially is extremely hard to kill. Every time he is beheaded, his body splits into 2 new forms with 2 new personas. Tanjiro is picked up by a swooping Huntingu, while Katestu and Miss Hashira Muichiro have to deal with Gyoko's assault. Just real quick right there, this one particular scene is so dope. It's not something that stands out. Like if I could go back and just pick my 3 favorite fight sequences or my 3 favorite scenes from the whole season, this probably wouldn't be one of them. But just the fact that you have a new and refreshing style of demon, and you get the typical anime ass whipping of the protagonist to begin with, and that's kind of where we're at right now because he's obviously got to figure out what he's dealing with and how to deal with it. But just the character design behind this particular demon, I was in love with. I was like, that is, dude, looks cool, sounds cool, and the concept of how his powers work are just phenomenal.
I think the show, when you first like get into the series, you think, okay, they have to behead the demons and whatnot, and it's like, okay, like I don't know, that seems like it could get kind of stale after a while. It kind of like, okay, like let me just go behead this fucking demon, right? But I do appreciate the fact that they changed it up like a decent amount with how to kill these upper rank demons and whatnot. It's not just straight cutting the head off or stab them in the heart or doing anything like that. Like there's actually kind of like some puzzles behind how to kill them.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Well, they did a good job of explaining that backplot too, because up until now, for like the last, it's explained it in the first couple episodes of this particular season. With Muzan, he says it's the first time an upper rank has been killed in 100 years, from the Entertainment District arc. So up until now, most of the Hashira that are alive, if not, I guess all of them, have never had to do anything except for behead one, because basic level demons is all you have to do. So it seems still, but it's all they really expect to ever have to do. Kind of just rock the whole world.
What do you think about the 2 demons, the 2 upper rank demons? We got which see Hentengu, and then we have Gyoko. Probably saying those wrong. Go fuck yourselves.
Close enough.
What do you think about those 2? Like design, their whole backstories, everything.
Huntingu was definitely my favorite. The first form design was just pure D dog shit, but then you realize why and that it had to be. So it was explained very well. His powers were just awesome, and the backstory behind him was kind of basic for a B plot character, but at the same time, like, made sense. Like, I got it by the time they explained it. I do not care for Gyoko. Makes me very uncomfortable, even for a demon. At some point, I was just like, man, that dude's a freak. But I guess that was the point. The design looked cool. The design looked pretty cool. But
like a genie in a bottle kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was his voice acting kind of creeped me the fuck out.
Dude, just unsettling. Very unsettling. And I get it. It's Demon Slayer. It's not supposed to be friendly. But at the same time, I was just like, it's a bit too much there, pot guy. I don't know about you. All right. Mid-battle with Huntingu, who is now split into 4 different personalities, Tanjiro discovers they each represent an emotion: joy, anger, pleasure, and sorrow. He attempts to turn the tide, almost rescuing Nezuko and Genya simultaneously, but the pleasure demon persona, Karaku, returns and attacks the trio. With all hope lost, the love Hashira Mitsuri joins the fray. This rolls us into almost the mid-season break. Episode 5, Bright Red Sword, featured Muichiro hunting for his new blade while also being confronted by Gyoko and his perverse art. featuring dead swordsmiths, this is when I got uncomfortable. I was just like, that is so Demon Slayer, but at the same time, creepy as fuck.
It was fucking dope, man. That shit was fucking dope.
And then he just turned it. I was like, oh, I've never had an anime hurt me before, but I physically felt that one.
That's one thing about Demon Slayer that I really love is the fact that I wouldn't consider it like a horror genre or anything like that, but it has like horror elements throughout, and it's very it's got those elements throughout. Like it's definitely dealing with demons and shit like that, and that's fucking horror at its finest, right? And I love that it's not necessarily a scary anime, but it's more like grotesque and more evil and sinister like. And I definitely like that. I think that's what draws me to Demon Slayer more so than anything.
Yeah,
Is
no, that's
like
completely fair.
The atmosphere of it, I guess you could say.
Well, and the animation in comparison to pretty much any other anime out there is so superior that the grotesque environment is just illuminated by how good the animation is to begin with. I mean, it's just, you're right. Environmentally, it is probably my favorite.
I think it's the best animation.
Oh no, it is the best animation, but as a standalone environment within an anime, coupled with how good the animation is, it's probably my favorite environment.
Agreed. I agree.
Oh, let's see. The Mist Hashira Tokito is seemingly defeated and trapped in a floating pool of water at the start of his battle with Gyoko. Tanjiro, meanwhile, is rescued by Nezuko and eventually powers up his blade thanks to his sister's demon blood. With the flaming red blade in tow, he's able to behead 3 of Hantengu's personas. The 4th is simultaneously beheaded by Genya, though it seems that he is transformed into a demon. Yeah, that was about
love.
Yeah, when that oh my god. I wish we hadn't just gone off about how good the animations are, because that scene was so much better than the last one.
But this, I think towards the end of the season, with the final part of the fight, I think is probably the overall like dopest moment. But this has one of my favorite moments in the series as a whole. I think the fight, him kind of really kind of touching the tip of his powers a little bit and just slaying some fucking demons all with one attack was fucking dope.
And yeah, it does a really good job too of highlighting how overpowered that one like isolated attack was, because this dude had been getting his ass kicked for like a full episode and a half now, and then in like a 2-minute flashback where he has a memory, and then a 30-second build up of like a Kaioken or whatever, and then a 30-second attack. Like in 3 minutes, he essentially beheads 3 of them at one time. I mean, just the jump from what that one attack can do. It's like you said, he was just like touching the tip of the power he didn't even know he had. So good. So good. In true anime fashion, mind you, but still so good.
It showed it in the trailer, and it's in the manga as well, and it's one of my favorite fucking panels. I have like 2 or 3 panels that I just distinctly remember, and they're fucking dope. His eyes white out, and he's got the blood dripping from his face, and he's like screaming, and that's when he attacks. Dude, it's so fucking cool. So cool.
Sounds pretty cool. Oh, my bad, lost my place. All right. All is not lost, however. In the 6th episode, as Genya manages to regain much of his humanity in order to chase down a 5th tiny demon and help slay Hantengu, he is attacked from behind by the anger demon Sekido, which makes him reminisce about how a past demon, later revealed to be his own mother, attacked and killed 5 of his siblings. Tanjiro eventually saves Genya, though he is still badly wounded by a spear attack from Sekido. Thanks to Genya holding the anger demon off, Tanjiro then sees an opportunity to take down Hantengu once and for all. It's a chance he doesn't quite... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, 1 second. So what do you think about the aspect that he beheads them and then he realizes, oh, there's this fucking tiny little demon hiding in the woods, and it's so funny to me. And it's different at the same time, where you know, all of these upper rank demons are fierce, they're scary, they're very fucking powerful, and whatnot. And then we have this one demon. He's fucking tiny, and he's scared as shit about everything, and he does not want to fight. I like the fact that they did something different there.
Yeah, no, the irony was just terrific. I mean, mind you, I thought it was well done. I don't really know what the message was they were trying to go for. It did confuse me a little bit about how the four emotions split apart, but fear was the only one left for the fifth. I kind of thought that fear being the lead personality was just a little odd how they wrote it that way, but I mean it worked. It worked for the flow of the show, which I'm assuming worked for the flow of the manga too. And it was so cool that without everybody there to back him up, he wasn't just tiny in his heart. He was actually tiny, like 7 inches tall, tiny. It's pretty cool.
like one of these action figures.
Yes, literally one of those action figures.
You know what would have been really cool is if they would have done like a dichotomy of the fear and did like two different sides of fear, because they should have done like him actually being fearful, like him being scared and stuff like that, and then him like exacting fear on other people. I think that'd have been fucking cool if they would have done both out of the same demon.
Well, I think they kind of did.
But did they though?
I think. Let me get there. I I have symbolism to compare to what you just said. I can't guarantee that that's how they meant to write it, but that's honestly kind of how I took it when I saw it.
All right.
All right, Tanjiro then sees an opportunity to take down Hun Tengu once and for all. It's a chance he doesn't quite get to take, however. Starting in the 7th episode, it is revealed that Hun Tengu's anger demon has consumed the remaining emotions. Muichiro, meanwhile, eventually breaks free of his aquatic prison vase with the help of Katetsu. This was real Goku in the chamber on the way to Nameki, and it was just way too long, in my opinion. Like, if I could critique the first thing that I'm going to critique from this season, Muichiro somehow didn't drown for like 4 hours. Like, I understand that it was flashing back and forth, and this was all supposed to be like a 5-minute time span, but he was just in that water vase for way too damn long. Like 3 episodes is too much, man. Like I remembered thinking this when I watched it as the season was coming out, because back then I was watching it week to week and it was pissing me off even more. But even just watching it episode per episode, minute per minute, I was like, this is just, they've had so many conversations that you can't even say this was less than 5 minutes. Like,
I agree.
oh no,
I agree.
got real Goku pod vibes.
Went on way too long. Way too long.
But he does break out, and it's cool how he does it. The 8th episode sees Muichiro reminisce about his family. Much like Genya, his past is punctuated by fateful encounters with demons, including the one that murdered his twin brother. After the flashback, Tanjiro style marks appear on the Mist Hashira's face, which enhances his abilities.
So I'm gonna stop right there.
Oh yeah, okay, me too. You first.
Go. You sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I was very confused by this scene. Super fucking confused. Because we have the episode's called the Mu and Muchiro, if I'm not mistaken. You got Muchiro, who is the actual Hashira, and then you have Yuichiro, which is his brother. His brother is kind of a dick. He doesn't want to help people when they're little. He's kind of just, let's protect our own kind of thing. And then Muchiro is more let's help people. Let's go become swordsmiths and Hashiras and Demon Slayers, and let's go fucking slay some bitches, right? Mm-hmm. So when they do that episode, they do the flashbacks, and it makes it seem like, I don't know, the storytelling was a little confusing there. They made it seem like the good brother died. And then the one that was more, I don't want to say evil, but more like a dick, he took his brother's name to honor him, which would be the Mu in Muchiro title for the episode. But that's not the case. That's not the case whatsoever. it's actually the reverse. The good brother takes on the persona of the dead brother, the one that was kind of a dick. And it isn't until he meets Tanjiro in one of these episodes that he kind of flips the script and goes back to his old personality of wanting to help people and being more, I guess, positive and energetic and shit like that. So I don't know if you caught that or if you had issues with that. The storytelling aspect of that episode was a little confusing.
No, actually, up until I rewatched it, I thought Muichiro was the bad brother. The first time I watched it, when I was watching it week to week, I actually thought that. And to be honest with you, when I realized that that wasn't the case, I was a little let down because I thought that would have personally been better storytelling, in my opinion. But
Cool.
even so, it is because it's every time Yuichiro would talk and Muichiro would listen and vice versa, they had the same voice. So every time that the camera was panned on modern day Muichiro, it was past Yuichiro talking to him. So it made it sound like he was talking to the dead nice brother. So I get it. I was the same way. I actually this when I started watching it again, I was like, did I get that right or did I get that wrong? So I paid closer attention to what each brother was wearing throughout both sets of flashbacks because their shirts were the same but opposite color coded, and that's the only way I was able to even pick it up, honestly, because they didn't really distinguish. It's almost like they didn't want you to know, in my opinion.
Yeah, I texted Christian. I was like, bro, did this happen in the manga? Because this is a big change if this, because I don't remember this happening in the manga whatsoever. Because I feel like this was a fucking great twist that never happened. Essentially.
Would have
But
been
yeah,
would have
I
been a
feel
great twist.
it would have been a great twist. Like I feel let down by it. I'm like, y'all had something great and you didn't commit to it, but whatever. But what
Yes,
were you gonna
the
say about the fight?
about the fight.
Yeah, I think you were gonna mention something about the fight, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, one more line here, and that brings us actually to the pinnacle of it. Muichiro finally decapitates Gyoko despite the demon shedding his skin and revealing his fish-like true form. Muichiro then sees visions of his dead family, though his fate is unclear. And that kind of wraps up the background arc within the overall arc. And without Muichiro's development and seeing Muichiro's past and Kaganosuke in the background working on the sword, even though he was getting attacked, I could have done without all that. To be honest with you, I really just I felt no vital attachment to Gyoko as a demon. The fight in comparison to what everybody else was doing just seemed a little underwhelming. The Mist Hashira is a badass. Obviously, he's a Hashira, and you got to see some cool animated moves that only a Mist Hashira could do. But I was just kind of like, I was real. I absolutely loved everything going on with Tanjiro and Hantingu and the rest of the crew, and that was probably 70% of the season. But this other 30%, I was cool with or without. To be honest with you, like I wound up loving Muichiro as a character, which they introduce him as a dickhole, but we just kind of explain why. And I mean, Haganosuke is just funny. The swordsmith is just hilarious. But without that, like I was perfectly fine without Gyoko. Definitely not
Yeah.
sad when he died.
Yeah. He was kind of a, other than him just being super fucking creepy, I thought he was kind of a, though that whole aspect of the season was kind of just, it was like the Tanjiro stuff was kind of up here and the Muchiro stuff was kind of like down here. Like it was good. Like I still enjoyed it, but it paled in comparison to some of the other stuff that we've seen in the Demon Slayer series up to this point.
Correct.
Now, I think that is a good time to remind everybody that the Swordsmith Village arc and then this next upcoming arc, what is it called? The Hashira Training arc, I think is what it's called. My two least favorite arcs of the entire series, right here. And I think the season 3 overall made me like this arc. Like I enjoyed it. Like I prefer this over the manga. That's all I'll say.
Oh, no crap, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's not where I was expecting that to go, to be completely honest with you.
It's not Garlic Junior Saga bad like the manga, but yeah, it took me forever to get through these 2 arcs in the series.
Gross. I was gonna ask to borrow them all, but now I don't know that I want to. It's just gonna let me down.
Oh no, sir. You want to borrow it for the end. The end
Oh.
is uh, ah, it's fucking amazing.
Okay.
As
All right.
bad as not, it's not bad. It's just I wouldn't even say it's tough to get through. I mean, it's just not as good as the rest of the series. I think the rest of the series is just so good that this is just it pales in comparison. And the end of Demon Slayer is so fucking good. I went through the last 6 or 7 manga in the span of like 2 days, which I had not done for the rest of the series. So the ending is fucking fantastic, sir.
Oh, I get that. I feel like all manga arcs have to have those like 4 or 5 issues somewhere in the dead center that you just have to lull your way through because they're necessary. They're just boring. I did that with 100 Years Quest too. Like book 7 through 10 were just kind of meh, and I was like, I've invested a lot of money in this, and it has really hurt my feelings. But then when 11 hit, I was like, this is why I spent the $10 a book on this. Now I remember. So I get it.
I think it'll work better in the anime. The training arcs and then this arc, I think they will ultimately work better in the anime because they can. I mean, it's more interesting. They have the fights and whatnot, and then they also have the character
Right.
development side of it. I mean, there's only so much the manga can do.
Yeah, I get it. All right. Gyoko's dead. Good riddance. You get it. Muichiro's passed, and then we flop back over. Elsewhere in the battle, Tanjiro is nearly killed by Huntingu's demons, but is saved at the last moment by the love Hashira Mitsuri Kanroji, who joins the fray. The penultimate episode is centered on Mitsuri, with not only her past, where she tried to conform to societal expectations, being covered up, but also her supremely powerful fighting prowess. With Mitsuri by their side, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Genya turn the tide and finally corner an escaping Huntingu. And yeah, last 2 episodes were just fire. Absolute fire.
So
Love Mitsuri. Her backstory was cool. She was a fucking savage. And every single animation they did with her in combat was just prime. Absolutely prime.
Oh, there was something primed, all right, sir.
Her backstory was great too, mind you. Yeah, she was dope. She was dope. She was probably, honestly, she's probably my favorite new character in the season.
I agree, especially her little sword whip, which was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it was very confusing at first. Then I was like, oh, it's still a sword. It's also a whip because anime. I get it. I get it.
Right.
It's definitely steel that can bend like a rope. Makes sense.
I don't understand the science behind this, but I'm just gonna allow it.
But I'm there for it. Yes, I'm there for it. Oh yeah, the thing that I breezed past a while ago and I said to come back to. You said you thought it would be cool if they split Fear into 2. When they were chasing him through the forest for the last time before he came out of the clearing, and Tanjiro finally caught up with him in the episode before the finale, and then he grew a bigger, angry version of himself around. I think that was supposed to be like a last minute backed into a corner fight over flight, fear manifesting into rage. Because that's when Tanjiro thought that he got him, because it was still the fear demon, but he still didn't. So it's not that he split into 2, but it's like he was able to coat himself with 1 as a last resort.
Okay, I'll allow it. I see where you're going with that. It's funny
I
that
will
he
allow
turned.
that you allow it.
You know those little knickknacks like back in the fucking old days. It was like the big one, and there's a small one inside it.
Yes,
That's him.
pretty much. Pretty much. But Genya's backstory was cool. It was typical Demon Slayer backstory. My whole family was murdered. Now I'm out for revenge. Muichiro's was kind of the same, but not so much revenge as just survival. But Mitsuri's backstory was so good to me just because it was refreshing and new. It was actually like almost like a happy childhood, and we haven't really seen that yet. Like, I mean, I guess you could say she went through some crap like everybody else did, but her baggage was a lot different than most people in this universe. So it was just cool. It was cool because it was different.
I agree.
And the finale was so good. Not as good as Entertainment District, but still very, very good.
I will agree with that. The Entertainment District last episode was fucking awesome.
That's probably my favorite episode of an anime, except for the Coliseum battle in Fairy Tail. But seriously, right behind that though.
Oh, we're talking about favorite episodes? Oh shit. Yeah, I got to resort back to Dragon Ball Z, all my favorite episodes of all time. They have about 3 that are like the best.
That's fair. No, that's not wrong. You're not wrong. But thoughts on the season, sir?
I think the overall season is I don't think it necessarily hits the heights of season 2 in terms of because there were some really fucking cool fights in season 2. So I don't think it hits the height of season 2 in terms of the fights. But I think it's overall more consistent and more even with the storytelling and what's going on than season 2. I think the first few episodes of season 2 aren't all that great. They were kind of boring, to be honest with you. Trying to set the table for the rest of the season. I mean, they're necessary, but they're kind of boring. But then you also have the Mugen Train arc, which I don't really consider that a part of season 2, even though it is. I consider that just the movie, which I've never actually watched the actual season form of that movie. Now that I'm thinking about it, this one is more even. It doesn't have a whole lot of episodes where it doesn't have any episodes I'm just like downright didn't like or disappointed by. It has like little moments here or there that I'm like, we could have done without this a little bit, like it's a little bit slower. But once it picks up the pace, I don't know, maybe 5 episodes in, it kind of it kind of elevates itself a little bit. I just think it's more consistent than season 2, but I'm still gonna give season 2 probably the overall edge in it. Season 1's still the best though.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna argue with that. I pretty much just mirror everything you just said. I mean, I haven't read the manga, so I can't compare it, but I love the season. Demon Slayer is one of my top probably 4 or 5 anime all time, even with the finite amount of episodes that we have in comparison to some other shows that are out there. There were things I can nitpick more so about this season than past seasons, but I still loved it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's almost like some things they threw in were unnecessary, but at the same time, it's almost like some things almost felt rushed. Now, to be fair, I watched it in half a day, so it probably did seem rushed. But at the same time, they were almost some like it. I don't know. It was a weird contrast in comparison. Like Muichiro was in that damn water ball for 3 episodes, and it felt like an eternity. But then the fight itself felt like it was like 2 minutes. So I don't know. It just
the pacing is off.
Yeah, the pacing seemed ass backwards at times, but I still loved it. Don't get me wrong. I would, if I'm gonna give season 1 a 9.5 and season 2 a 9, then I guess by everything I'm saying, I'm gonna give this one like an 8.75.
Yeah, I think it's a cunt hair below season 2. Season 2, man. It's just with season 2 is they just had some the fights, and then I think the Hashira for that season was just so much better than the 2 in this season. He was just so much more interesting.
And there was so much more of him.
Exactly.
Like this, I would say 7 full episodes of this season were strictly combat, which is fine, like because it was cool combat. But you got so much more of dialogue with that Hashira than you did these. You just got to know him a little better, in my opinion.
Yeah, better developed. It's just, man, I can't get over how I don't want to say they're bad. They're just I struggled to get through like the first 2, maybe 3 episodes of season 2. But after that, it's like it's full erection after that. 100%.
Yeah.
And some people will say they don't have Zenitsu and
Inosuke.
Inosuke in the season, which they think, oh, it's so much better. I don't really have a problem with either, though. Inosuke, it's kind of a disappointment that he's not in any of this, to be honest with you. And I don't think this is a spoiler, but honestly, they like I'm not saying they get kicked out of the series because they don't. Like they're still in the series past this point, but the fact that they get kind of kicked to the side in favor of all the Hashira towards the rest of the series, it's kind of interesting. But like I said, it's not necessarily like they become super minor characters because they don't. But I was kind of surprised by how much of a or least of a role they played in the rest of the series. And I actually really like Inosuke. Like the fact that he gets Tanjiro's name wrong every single fucking time is hilarious to me.
Well, you have to love him by default for the voice acting. But
Exactly.
honestly, dude, I like Zenitsu more than Inosuke. I think Zenitsu is just wildly underrated, and if you watch the show knowing he's gonna yell unnecessarily, it doesn't bother you. That was my one hiccup with Zenitsu when I first started watching the show. I was like, my God, does this dude ever shut up? But just his personality is hilarious to me, and the fact that he is always trying to thunderclap some cheeks, I just I think it's hilarious, man. I don't know. He's funny. He's definitely not a necessity to the show, but he's definitely a part that it would not be as good without, in my opinion. Of course, adversely so is Inosuke in his own right.
And I love how he just goes all savage mode when he falls asleep.
Yeah, and never remembers it.
Never remembers it. Like, dude, you're like one of the strongest slayers, but you don't ever remember it.
When Tanjiro used a thunder breathing move to move fast, I was like,
Bruh.
didn't know you could do that. That was pretty fucking sick. That was pretty fucking sick.
Bruh. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. So yeah, y'all let us know in the comments below. If you are listening to us, you can jump to YouTube or vice versa. We're on all the platforms right now. Drop a comment below letting us know what you think about season 3 of Demon Slayer. Is it your favorite? Is it your least favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, make sure you like, subscribe, do all that bullshit. Really helps us out in the long run. Really helps the podcast kind of get out there to other people. And it's what we really need. So appreciate y'all listening and appreciate you liking and subscribing. Moving on, we're kind of running out of time, guys. Moving on to the top 10 anticipated games of 2024. So I'm gonna let Chris do his 5, and then I'm gonna do my 5 afterwards, and we'll kind of talk about each one.
Okay. So I'll go in reverse order. And to be honest, guys, Primo didn't lie. This was a pretty hard list to make. 2024 is going to be a lot of backlog. Just going to lead with that. There's not just a lot of super exciting things on the docket, if you will. But number 5 for me is going to be Little Nightmares 3. For no particular reason other than I just love the first two. I mean, I would play Little Nightmares 17 in 2041 if they're still making them. So I love those games.
As long as they change the combat.
Well, you know what you're getting into.
Well,
in my
Little Nightmares 2 was fucking great. Hated the combat.
No, yeah, that's fair.
It was janky.
Well, I think it's because combat was a new concept in Little Nightmares 2, honestly. I don't think they really knew what the hell they were doing because Little Nightmares was just running.
It was.
And I personally prefer that, in my opinion. I like the first game more than the second one, so I'm excited to see how the trio's rounded out, but definitely go play it for sure. You say we're not alternate and just keep going?
Yeah, you just keep going.
All right. Number 4, and this one is with a question mark because I don't know much about it, but Rise of the Ronin. I know it's a samurai game with dope-ass graphics, so at face value, I really want to play it. This could be a situation where I see a gameplay video in 2 months and I'm like, I completely changed my mind. Get that off my list. I'm sorry, Patreon, that I ever led you astray. But from the 2 previews I did watch, looks pretty fire.
So when I saw it was on here, I was like, Rise of the Ronin. I gotta I gotta look that one up. I did a YouTube video and it was Team Ninja, and I was honestly I'm very surprised you had this on your list because I don't think you're gonna play it.
Why wouldn't I play it?
This is
Are these
kind of
like the
like
Sekiro people?
yes, not
Oh,
from software. It's the people that
oh,
it's the other team. They did Neo 2. They just did Wolong Fallen Dynasty this year.
which I did want
So
to play until you told me not to.
yeah, it
So,
was just it was too not for me. Not for me. Um it's I'm getting to a point where like I love those from software games and I will 100% play Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all that. 100% play it. Like I could go in there and play Bloodborne right now if I didn't have fucking other things to do.
right.
But when it comes to like other people making hard ass games, I have like little to no interest in it because I'd rather just go play other games that I can beat. And Team Ninja's getting to that way. I spent probably about 6 months trying to fucking play Neo 2. Whether that was my schedule or whether me dying to a certain fucking boss a billion times. Um, I have other things to do with my life, you know. So Rise of the Ronin, like you said, it looks great. It looks great. It looks kind of like Wolong Fallen Dynasty in terms of like the combat and whatnot. I'm gonna have to see more. I'm gonna have to see more before I commit to buying this.
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, I might watch one 8-minute gameplay trailer and then just apologize publicly. You know, who the hell knows? But face value looked really good. All right, number 3, Skull and Bones. Kind of like Rise of the Ronin. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know it is a pirate game from Ubisoft. So if they are finally giving me a sequel to Assassin's Creed Black Flag without calling it Assassin's Creed Black Flag 2, balls deep, all in day one. Because truthfully, in my opinion, there's only one Assassin's Creed game that matters, and it's Black Flag. Like the other ones are playable, and I didn't hate most of them, but Black Flag is just so vastly superior to the rest of the entire franchise put together that if Ubisoft is finally just saying to hell with it, give the fans what they want, but leave Assassin's Creed out of it, Chris is there. Sign me up. And it looks dope too.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I looked it up, and I'm intrigued by it. Apparently, they don't know whether it's gonna be a multiplayer game, like a live service game, or not. Apparently,
Mm.
there's no like true story mode. It's gonna be like missions and shit like that, and just kind of just do shit in the overworld and whatnot, and just be a pirate, which is pretty fucking cool. So
Oh, so
I'm
it's going to be like Sea of Thieves with realistic graphics?
that's kind of what I saw,
Oh, you're
but
ruining it for me already.
there's not a whole lot of details about it when you think about it.
Yeah, there's really not. You're right. I sit still
So
fresh. We'll get
yeah,
more.
so as soon as they release some more stuff, I'll get a little bit more hyped for it. But right now, I'm like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, 2024 is just not going to be great to begin with. So we really had to dig deep with some of these. I'm just now noticing there's not one Switch game on my list, and I'm the Switch guy. So well, I guess Little Nightmares 3 will probably be released on the Switch, but I'm not getting it on the Switch. You know, I'm going to get it on the PlayStation.
Exactly.
Nintendo's going to have a dick year.
Preparing for that Switch
Num
2, man.
Well, yeah, I guess so. All right, number 2 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I felt a little bad about putting it on this list because I still haven't played the first installment. But the reason I put it on this list is because it comes out in February, and my next project is to play the first installment. So piecing together 4 or 5 hours a week on my PlayStation 5 at night, this one's probably going to drop right around the time I finish the first one. So I am living under the assumption that my anticipation will have probably quintupled by then.
Yeah, it looks
And
great.
number 1, yeah, well, yeah, I tried not to watch too much because, like I said, I haven't played the first one. But yeah, number 1 was easy for me. I didn't know this was happening until I started Googling what was happening next year. And Persona 3 Reload is going to be a full remake.
Oh,
And Yeah, I've never played 3. I almost bought the duo pack for 3 and 4 when they dropped it on the Switch last year, and I'm glad I didn't because this one's going to be completely redone. So in my mind, it's just going to be Persona 6 because it's a story I haven't played before with characters I don't know, but it's going to look fantastic.
Oh, I thought this was like a remaster.
I'm pretty sure it said remake.
Oh, ooh.
Pretty sure.
Might have my attention now.
Now, if I'm wrong, sorry, but I'm I'm like 95% sure the word remake is what got me so excited about it. So I either massively fumbled or just shocked the world. One of the two. I don't know. Time will tell.
So jumping into my 5, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is the Final Fantasy Xenoblade Chronicles 2 style looking game, which I started thinking about it because they say Bahamut in the trailer. I was like, bruh, like I know it says fantasy in the fucking title, but is this like a Final Fantasy game? So I Googled it, and it's not technically a Final Fantasy game, but a lot of the people that were the creative team for Final Fantasy are creating this game. So, little fun fact.
Yes, interesting. That makes it more appealing for sure.
So, looks great. Looks great. 100% playing that. And that comes out in February, I think.
Oh, very soon. And that one's actually a Nintendo exclusive, right?
No.
Oh, it's not?
I don't think so. I don't think so. These next 4 are not technically confirmed for next year. Anything else that was confirmed for next year, I was not interested in. So these hopefully will get released next year. Hellblade 2, Viking Iceland, looks fucking amazing. I will 100% buy a new Xbox to play that fucking game. Huge fan of the first game, and I need the second game. I fucking need it. It's gonna be so fucking good.
I'll review it with you, but I'm gonna have to YouTube it because I'm not buying an Xbox just for Hellblade. My wife would kill me.
Maybe it'll be on sale, man. Maybe. or maybe we go halfsies.
Splitsies.
We'll do co-parenting.
Yeah, there we go. Every other weekend.
You
We'd be terrible co-parents because you asked me for your PlayStation 4 back and it took me like 3 weeks to get it to you. So we'd be awful co-parents.
We would be. Then I have Hollow Knight Silk Song, which this got announced like fucking 3 years ago. So it's got to come out next year, right? You don't think so?
No. We've been lied to so much. It's never happening, man. Maybe like 2029.
Oh my god, that makes me so sad. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this game a lot, more so for the fact that yes, it's in the same universe, but on the flip side, everything is changing with the combat and whatnot because you're playing with a completely different character. So super excited about that game. Super excited. The first game, one of my favorite games of all time, excluding the Great Abyss part of that game. Fuck that level. every game like that has one level that just everybody fucking hates. The Abyss is one. Okay, you can't fucking see dick, and it's fucking tough. And yeah, shut up. Misery. Hades 2, which I honestly do not think will come out next year. If it does, it'll be I really don't. I think if it does come out, it'll be at the tail end of next year, maybe the beginning of 2025. But this revolves around Zag's sister Melino. I'm hoping I say that right. Princess of the Underworld, as she takes on Kronos, the Titan of Time, who wages war on Olympus. So obviously, we've talked about Hades, the first game, on the podcast a lot on the first handful of episodes that we've ever done. So we love the game, and just give me more of the same. That's all I ask. Not asking you to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. There's gonna be a new story, new characters, hopefully new weapons. Other than that, let's fucking go, man. That's all I need. I don't need to watch anything else.
Like, honestly, in my opinion, don't even try to upgrade the animation because the animation is what made Hades to me.
Exactly. You could legitimately, I mean, just change the level design a little bit and just change the story up. That's really it.
100% agree.
And my number one anticipate, it's not even a game. I understand y'all fucking get off my dick about this. It's DLC, but go fuck yourself, okay? This is my list. Um Elden Ring Shadow of the Air Tree DLC is expected to be released next year. And the rumor is it's going to be half the length of the fucking game. Huh. 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 That's going to be fucking incredible. So we're looking at about 30 hour long DLC. Bruh.
That's a big ass DLC for
It is.
straight story. Like that is absolutely insane.
Yes. So I'm hoping a lot of people are hoping that they actually add stuff to the overworld. That way you can like maybe like you want to start over, but I want to take some of this DLC with me, and get some of the DLC items throughout the playthrough, which I think they should do. Hopefully it's not like Dark Souls 2, 3, Dark Souls, the OG game, you had to go to a waterfall and fucking go through a portal and it went to the DLC and it was fucking kind of convoluted and shit like that. You had to look it up.
Mm.
Hopefully it's not like that, but I'm going to go ahead and assume it is. I think they're going to add to the map that you already have, and it's just going to be a separate location that you can just somehow get
Uh,
to. I think that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong, but that's just my personal opinion. But that is that's my most anticipated thing for next year is the Elden Ring DLC, 100%.
the year of the backlog, buddy. Let's go.
uh, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. I put 120 hours into that game when I played it. So, dude, it's gonna be a 200-hour game, easy. And I still have to beat Melania because fuck that bitch. She's the only thing preventing me from my fucking platinum.
Speaking of 200 hours, did you ever beat Tears of the Kingdom?
No, so I charge my Switch every time I go to work to fucking play it, and I never get a chance to fucking play it.
Oh, I
But
feel that, dude. You don't have to explain yourself. I've been trying to play Bioshock Infinite for like a month now, so I get it.
that is it's tough to get through that game anyways, but I digress. Moving on to weekly recommendation.
Yes.
I didn't even give you an opportunity to clap back.
There's no need. No need.
Are you saying that I'm right?
I didn't hear what you said. I just assumed it was an insult.
Oh,
So,
I was saying probably because it's so tough to get through Infinite, but I digress.
oh, it might be. I'm not going to argue with that until I'm able to play it again because I completely. Never mind. We haven't released that yet. Haven't released that yet. Sorry. Almost ruined it for you guys. Spoiler alert, all things are not what they seem. My weekly recommendation is going to be finishing Attack on Titan. The newest bit finally dropped, and I'm assuming it's the last part.
The final.
Again, is it? Are we sure?
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
okay.
Allegedly.
All right, fair enough. Well, it was really good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say it was worth the wait. It wasn't. It was not. That shit should have been released like 6 years ago. But finally got to wrap it up. Watched it. It was still subbed, but I didn't even care because I'd waited so long. Literally the second that I got the Crunchyroll update that it was up, I just watched it immediately. Good hour and 20 minutes long. Awesome ending. And I have no idea how it compared to the manga because I never read it. But as for what the show had done up until this point, nice ribbons and bows everywhere they needed to be.
I know
Probably be dubbed in like a week.
I don't know. It took the dub of the first part forever to drop. I haven't watched the first part. I'm waiting for the second part to drop before I watch the first part.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know how long it took to dub, honestly, because I didn't even know that it was on. And I just randomly one day saw it and I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen this one yet. So then I watched that and then, so I don't know how long it sat in the queue.
Trying to think of what I'm going to recommend to everybody out there. So I'm going back through Black Clover. but we've already recommended that on the podcast before. I'm actually going to recommend The Office. I don't know if I don't know if that's even a good recommendation because people either have watched it already or haven't. We just started watching it for the first time, me and the wife,
For the
a couple
first
days
time?
for the
Okay.
first time. So we are almost through with season 1, which is only like 6 episodes. Um, I've heard it's a little tough to get through like the first handful of
2
episodes.
seasons.
Yeah, and then it kind of really starts finding its own.
Yeah.
But dude, when it fucking hits, man, it fucking hits.
Yeah. No. It's I made a silly face at first because I just haven't heard anybody talk about The Office in so long. But if you guys have actually never seen it before, it's a very enjoyable like marathon. It really is a good show. After season 2.
After season 2.
That's
Yeah,
1 and 2 aren't bad, but they really aren't. But you will, and I don't think I've ever heard a single person argue with just the general fact that the show jumps from like a 6 to a 9 somewhere at the beginning of season 3. So
actually, I will agree with that. I think it's like a 6 or a 7 right now. Like it's good. There are some spots that I'm like, oh wow, like I'm not I'm not getting any laughs out of this. Like this isn't funny whatsoever. And
yeah,
you'll go stretches without out laughing at all. But I've heard that about it, so I do have those expectations kind of going into it. I didn't realize it lasted that long though.
yeah. I mean, see, I would say there's a jump from 1 to 2 as well, but it's not as big. For me, I would say 2 goes from a 6 to a 7, but then 3 jumps from like a 7 to a 9. So I mean, it does get progressively better. It just gets a lot better after season 2.
Like I said, I don't know if that's even a good recommendation for people. I mean, most people have already seen it if they want to see it. But yeah, that's just something I just started watching with the wife, and I'm enjoying it as a late night watch.
Yeah. Oh, she's watching The Office now because Friends makes her sad. Is that?
Yes, yes,
I get it. Feel that in my soul, man.
yes. Uh, she was watching videos about that shit for fucking days. Oh man, she took it hard, sir. She took it hard.
No, trust me. Our wives would be best friends.
Well, sir, I appreciate you joining me for this episode. Our little mini deep dive into Demon Slayer. I was not expecting it to take that long, but I'm not mad at it either. So
Nope, it'd be like that.
it'd be like
But
that
thanks for
sometimes.
having me, and thanks for making me watch the 3rd season again in 7 hours. I actually thoroughly enjoyed that. I needed that little mini vacation day.
Yeah, you're like, I'm a binge watch it all day today. Uh that's impressive. Not gonna lie, it's impressive.
No, in the background, so it was fine.
Air quotes.
Yes, definitely did not do work so I could watch it. It was in the background. It's all
Obviously,
good.
obviously.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate y'all joining us for this episode. Like I said, leave us a comment below, like, subscribe, do all that bullshit. There's links down below to our Patreon, patreon.com/2game. Come join us there. We got several events planned for the next couple months. So come join us at Patreon so you can get access to that. And then we also have links to our merch. Go buy a hoodie. Starting to get a little chilly outside. Perfect time to buy it. And it also helps the podcast. And then there's also links to our social media accounts as well. So go there and follow us. Other than that, we appreciate y'all clicking on this episode every week and watching us. And we will catch y'all next week on another episode. Laters.
Later, everybody.